Hey there, internet. Let's get straight to the point. What a novel concept. I have spent a great portion of my life, like ever since I was a wee little laddie. I was not in Scotland at the time. I just considered myself to be a wee little laddie nonetheless. Ever since I was a youngin', I've always said that I wanted to be a writer. I've always thought books were fascinating. I always thought it was fun to come up with ideas and tell stories and make things up and then write them down. But the sad truth is I never actually got around to doing it all that much. And especially as I've gotten older, I've started writing less and less and less. I mean, of course, in college and in school and those sorts of things, I wrote papers, and yes, I was good at them, but that's not exactly what I'm talking about. Not to say that people who write essays and papers and nonfiction sorts of things aren't writers, that's just not exactly what I wanted to do in the writing pursuits of my life. Recently, though, I've re-challenged myself to write at least one creative thing every single week, the results of which I am posting to my blog so you can read them to yourselves at smallbar2012.com, and so far, it's been very difficult getting back into that flow, but I think I finally figured out the one thing I knew as a child that I forgot, and now I'm rediscovering, that has helped me to become a writer again, and that I think can help you become a writer if that's something that you've always wanted to do. And that piece of advice, drumroll please, is write without caring. Now, I'm guessing you're thinking that sounds like a very, very odd piece of advice, because of course if you want to be an author, especially one who's recognized and respected by other people, you need to be a good writer. So if you're just sitting there and thought dumping stuff on a piece of paper, it's probably not going to come out very well unless you're just some kind of wunderkind. I very much enjoy saying that word with the proper German pronunciation. Anyway, back to the point, there are plenty of people who will tell you that the best way to become a better writer is simply to write a lot. Of course that's true, but if you're anything like me, anytime you try to write, you get so caught up in the finding the perfect word and crafting these brilliant ideas and weaving them all together like you're trying to write an entire novel in one sitting, and it just becomes this daunting and terrifying and overwhelming task, and as a result you kind of freeze up and then just don't write anything at all. As I've gotten older, that's what started to happen, because I've started to recognize myself as a good writer, and thus I've thought every single thing that I need to pump out of my brain needs to be as good as it can possibly be from the beginning, or I'm a failure. But I was recently digging back through a bunch of childhood mementos, which of course made me cry because that's the kind of person I am, and I came across a bunch of my old writing, like things that I did in elementary school and possibly even kindergarten. All these stories and novels that are only like 20 pages that I wrote, and I remember being so incredibly proud and absolutely loving the fact that I had just told a story that no one else told. And of course, reading back through them now, no, they're not any good. I was in elementary school. I had no idea how to craft dialogue or to describe things or to use metaphorical and figurative language to reinforce my points, but it didn't matter because I was actually writing, something that unfortunately I can't say of myself for the past 5 years. And so I've embarked upon a project to attempt to reclaim some of that naive writing just for the sake of writing, and I'm doing that by starting a story that I have no idea where it's going to go or what the point is. I'm just telling a story. I've written the first section already. It's over on my blog, like I said, everything else is, and my goal is to write one at least 500 word chunk every week and just see what happens, because the best way to become a better writer is to write, so that's what I'm gonna do. Of course, the other piece of advice I can give you if you want to be a writer is read a whole bunch, because your brain just kind of absorbs the things that you read, so make sure you read good things and actually think about why it is that they're good, not just kind of drivel that so many books are nowadays. That's free bonus advice. And now, to borrow the words of the immortal Monty Python, for something completely different, Oreo just released these Fireworks Oreos with Pop Rocks in the icing, and I'm gonna try them just because I want to. If you're only here for the writing stuff, you can stop watching now, because this is gonna be the rest of however long this goes. Apparently they were not open. I thought they were. All right, we're gonna do two. One where I take it apart and test mostly just the icing to see how poppy it is, and then the other one where I eat it in its entirety. Okay, first off, I really like how red and blue it is in the middle there. Hopefully, there we go, now it focuses. It's so pretty and fireworky, which is, of course, why they're called Fireworks Oreos. It is definitely popping a little bit. I don't know if the sound just came through at all, but hopefully, because otherwise that's just disgusting footage of my beard. First thing I will say, the Pop Rocks are not flavored at all, like I kind of expected them to be. So it still just tastes like a normal Oreo. So I'm guessing that taste test number 2 is not gonna tell us much that taste test number 1 didn't already tell us. I forgot where the negatives were in that sentence halfway through. The good news is Oreos are still incredibly delicious. All right, now we're gonna try the whole thing. Actually, first, I want to cleanse my palate with water. Oreo number 2. You definitely don't get as much of the poppingness when you eat the whole thing at once because crunching the cookie covers up a lot of the pop rock sensation. So you're definitely gonna get more out of these if you're one of those people who takes the cookie apart and eats the icing first versus if you're one of the people who eats the thing all at once. Of course, I think that's a ridiculous distinction and you should be the kind of person who does both every other one, but that's just me. But it does still provide a nice little like sides of the tongue poppy sensation. Just a little burst of Oreo fun. Man, I could eat those things all day, every day. And that's that. How to be an author and how to eat Fireworks Oreos. 2 how-tos in 1. Though the second thing wasn't really a how-to, but it's fine. See you guys next week. Deuces.